The following review has been approved by Ethel the Cyborg Ninja. Welcome to Classic Game Room. Are you ready to flash back to the glory days of Atari 2600? It's a wonderful place. I've been there for years. If so, get ready for the Atari Flashback 2 Plus. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the Atari Flashback 2 with a plus sign next to it. Does that mean anything? It has a bit of the extra Atari. A game system meant to recreate the Atari 2600 experience with 40 built-in games. I was ready to come at this thing with a chainsaw. I've seen these plug-and-play game systems before with built-in games. They're typically junk. This one, however, is worth owning. And let me show you why. For starters, it's like a little Atari 2600, and who doesn't love that? Except it's styled after the big wood-grained Atari 2600, and while it's smaller and definitely feels lighter and cheaper, it looks the part. There's no mistaking what this is. Here's a close-up, and as you can see, they carried over many of the design cues like the ridges, the overall shape of the Atari, and the wood grain. There's even some information underneath like the old-school Atari 2600, the VCS, Video Computer System. Controller ports remain on the back. If you're still rocking the black and white TV, really it's time to upgrade. And it comes with your basic composite and mono AV cables as well as a power supply. But here's where this thing really started to impress me. Instead of giving you some awful aftermarket controllers, the Flashback comes with two real Atari 2600 joysticks that look and feel exactly like the old school ones, and they even have the right plug on them. So you can use them on your original Atari hardware if you want. Also, this means that you can plug a Sega Genesis controller straight into the Atari Flashback. Now I am ready to flash back to the 1980s with Atari Flashback 2. Of course, I'm always flashed back to the 1980s, so this really isn't any different than normal. Games are broken out into several different categories, and the audio and video quality is very good. Better than what you'll get from your old Atari 2600 with the RF adapter, which you shouldn't be using anyway. But this is a good plug-and-play game system that should work with your LCD or HD TV, provided it has a composite video input. And even if it doesn't, you can easily get an HDMI converter. But let's check out the games. It comes with many of the Atari classics you would expect, like Haunted House Adventure and Yars Revenge. But it's the games I didn't expect that make it worth owning. Games like Asteroids Deluxe weren't even released on the Atari 2600. I think it's a prototype. Of course, it comes with many of the Atari arcade classics that were released, like Centipede, Missile Command, and the regular Asteroids. I think this would make a great gift for a friend or your significant other if they grew up playing Atari and would like to revisit their trusty wood-grained friend. It packs a lot of nostalgia. And it's got a lot of the classics that we all played, like Combat Millipede and Space War. There's other Atari collections out there where you get more games, but you'll need a game console to play them. This one plugs and plays and gets the job done, but where it really knocks the ball out of the park is with its collection of unreleased games and games that you may not own because they're really expensive. I don't find Yars Return or Combat 2 particularly exciting, but Secret Quest is dynamite. And I've never even played Fatal Run before. This game is great. It's like Road Blasters on the 2600. But the star of the Atari Flashback 2 is definitely the unreleased Aquaventure. This is one of the best games on the 2600. You rob the ocean of treasure, shoot seahorses, and then mate with a mermaid. It doesn't get any better than that. I've spent so much time playing Aquaventure and Fatal Runoff. This thing I'm going to do reviews on both games individually, because they deserve it. They're awesome. And of course, I've got a giant Atari 2600 sized thank you to send to Tim from Louisville, Illinois for sending this to the show. Thank you, Tim. And thanks for the Doritos. The whole crew of the Intergalactic Space Arcade feasted on them. The Atari Flashback 2 Plus is more than a gimmick, it looks and plays great. Obviously, it won't play your actual collection of 2,600 games, but it does play the 40 games built into it, works with your 2,600 controllers, and it has lasers and Nookie with mermaids. Win.